Some cars do not need any introduction. But what about this one? I honestly don't know. You let me know in the comments if this needs introduction or not. But today we're going on a tour of a 2017 Audi R8 V10 Plus LeMans.
Yeah. They was sleeping, they was snoozing on me. I was dreaming about what food to eat. Why they sleeping, why they snoozed on me? I was seizing opportunity. Now they don't know what to do with me. I keep going hard like I'm in puberty. Rebellions in my blood, there ain't no ruling me. Coming for the top, this isn't beauty.
But first, if you want to see more cars like these on my channel, and if you want the owners to give them to me willingly, please consider liking, consider subscribing, and slap a comment in there, and that'll mean the absolute world to me on this channel. Thank you guys. Enjoy. There's so much to be said about the Audi R8, but I think a good place to start is just how similar they are with its Italian twin, the Lamborghini Huracan. Some people might not know that, but these cars are pretty much the same car with different shells, maybe slightly different electronics, different interiors, and different suspension tuning. Overall, the cars are very similar. Same engine, same chassis. The cars are a lot more similar than they are different. The biggest differences are in the styling and the price. The R8 is actually around 100 grand cheaper than the Huracan, so it makes you question whether it's even worth it. And obviously, it looks different. Some might prefer this, some might prefer the crazy Huracan styling, but the owner definitely prefers this, and the owner says that this car is actually a lot more comfortable as a daily driver, which is what it's used as in the summer. This car is dripped out with carbon fiber. The original owner had everything in carbon fiber that he could. All the panels are carbon fiber, the side mirrors are carbon fiber, so much of the interior trim is carbon fiber as well. The spoiler is carbon fiber, the diffuser is carbon fiber. Everything that can be carbon fiber in this car is carbon fiber, even the engine bay. And to go even further, even the carbon ceramic brakes that are notoriously good at braking and stopping you on a dime, but also notoriously expensive to replace. You don't want to change these bad boys. Under the hood, rear glass lid, we have a 5.2 liter V10 engine pushing out a whopping 610 horsepower and 413 pound-feet of torque, and pushing all of that through an S-tronic dual class transmission, and all the power is going to all four wheels through the genius Audi Quattro all-wheel drive system. And all of that results in a 3.1 seconds 0 to 100 time. Jesus, my God. I was playing with my feelings. Now, in the interior, it is very, very much Audi. Everything feels like Audi, looks like Audi, smells like Audi. Everything is wrapped in nice and soft touch leather. There's a lot of carbon fiber in here, a lot. There's a carbon fiber on the dashboard, on the center console. There's carbon fiber around the vents, on this interior trim, carbon fiber on the dash, carbon fiber floppy pedals as well. Even on the door, carbon fiber. There's plenty of carbon fiber, and this car is just dripped out with carbon fiber. Everything you need when you're driving, you can access through the steering wheel. You don't have to take your hands off the steering wheel in this car, which is pretty incredible, I won't lie. The only time you would take your hands off the steering wheel is to access the climate controls. That's pretty important. But otherwise, everything is on the steering wheel. You get your start engine stop button. Also, you get your exhaust modes, the race mode, the drive select, which allows you to choose different driving modes. You get your navigation controls, your phone controls. You get the media controls as well. You get your carbon fiber floppy pedals for the transmission. Everything is on this thing except for the climate controls and that's pretty amazing. You really don't have to take your hands off the wheel, which makes it a lot safer and a lot more driver focused. The owner drives this car every day, and he told me that this car is actually a lot more comfortable than the Huracan because of the suspension settings, and also it has everything you need to daily drive it. It even has cup holders, man. Look, although, wait, how do I pop this cup holder thingy? Yeah, there's a button. Oh, there it is. Okay, there's a button. This flap lifts up all the way. All right, and you get two cup holders. They look pretty small, but also you would probably be drinking espressos if you drive this car. You also got your SD card, two SD cards, and a SIM card. I'm gonna have to ask what this is for. And you get you get a CD slot as well, probably for the navigation. You get a little net in the back for storage. You have some storage space in the back, and you also have a frunk, which is decently spacious for what the car is. And my favorite part of the whole interior is the steering wheel, hands down the steering wheel. This perforated leather feels incredible across the entire steering wheel. I am very upset that perforated leather steering wheels are pretty much dead for the most part, maybe except in Audis and some VWs at this point, especially in supercars. People love their Alcantara wheels and regular leather wheels, but perforated leather just feels different. The grip is incredible. It does not wear nearly as much or as easily as Alcantara, because a few years later the Alcantara is, well, you wouldn't want to touch that anymore. But perforated leather just ages like fine wine and Asian people. One thing that I noticed is when you turn off the car and you hear this, you open the door and you hear this. That's just corny. I don't know if you heard that, but it's making that sound that you hear in the Audi commercials, that every time you shut off the car and open the door. That's just too corny. I'm sorry. You also get a reasonably sized frunk as well. Well, reasonably sized for what the car is, realistically. It's nothing big, it's nothing huge, but at the same time, you could do some light shopping with it as well. If you go grocery shopping a couple of times a week, get some bananas, some produce, you know, couple of chicken breasts, all that will fit in there just fine. And also you get some space in the back as well, behind the seats, so you do get a reasonable amount of storage here for a supercar, of course. Shall we hear it? Alright, so driving the 2017 Audi R8 V10 plus LeMans weeks later, because busy lives, and we finally made it happen. So I am behind the wheel of this beautiful thing on a beautiful Sunday morning. It's a bit chilly, so we'll keep it safe. And I'm currently in the comfort mode, and the comfort mode is shockingly comfortable. It has been fascinating me how comfortable the R8 can be, even though it looks like this, and it drives like this if you need it to. But if you put it in comfort, it becomes reasonably quiet. You can drive it around town. It's not that much firmer than, say, a CLA 45 AMG at all. I would say even they're comparable. This actually might be more comfortable than a CLA 45 AMG. And I think that's one of the best things about the R8 is that you can, if this was your only car, I think you could still be able to comfortably live with it. Maybe not the storage capacity, maybe not the grocery getting aspect of it, but driving daily to work and back, or have fun with it on the weekends, take it up to, you know, the back roads in the woods, and then open it up there, or just open it up when safe to do so. But for the most part, you put it in auto, put it in comfort, and just waft, just cruise. I could listen to a podcast here, I could have a conversation with another person right now. Same on the highway, it's not particularly inconvenient, if I can use that word in this case. However, when you're on the highway and you put it in dynamic, and it just wakes right up. The exhaust livens up. It starts screaming at you, begging for more. And the pops on the crackles. The steering wheel feels a lot sharper. The suspension stiffens up as well. The sound of this V10 is absolutely intoxicating. It sounds like you're driving a Lamborghini, but then you can also blend in with the rest of the traffic. And that is probably the main appeal of this car. Is that you can use it every day, you can drive it every day, and if you don't get it in a lime green or yellow or orange or bright red, this can blend in right in there with downtown traffic. Now, obviously, we're law-abiding citizens and we will not break the law under any circumstances. But within the speed limits, this car, if I'm being completely honest, it does feel a bit choked, it does feel a bit suffocated, because it really comes alive as soon as the speed limit ends. And that's one of the things to remember about this car, is that it is an incredible performer. You know, it performs better than 95% of cars on the road, and it's hard to enjoy a car like this under the speed limits, unfortunately. However, if you do take it to a track, obviously that would be incredibly fun. If you do take it to a back road, if you take it to somewhere in the woods, or you go on a nice little road trip of 1,000 kilometers, for a couple of days, you could be comfortable going there in comfort mode. But when you need to open up, you could easily just click dynamic and it will just roar to life. And in my previous video, I did say that the R8 is not as exciting as the GTR. However, there is always a however with me. However, this is definitely the best option if you're looking to daily your supercar or a sports car. This is definitely the best option. This gives you the usability that the GTR doesn't. The GTR goes from stiff and uncomfortable and loud to batshit crazy. This goes from an S4 to Lamborghini crazy. So the range of insanity is a lot broader than with the GTR. The GTR is just kind of locked into its own setting, whereas this one can do it all depending on what you ask for it. The sound is... And just a little while earlier, the owner of the car took me for a little drive, and it was shocking how much grip this car possesses, even on this cold morning. It honestly just, every bend, every turn, it felt like it was just asking you to give it more, asking you to give it more gas, and it would be able to handle it. And that's also the beauty of the all-wheel drive as well. And even though not recommended, if you want to drive this car in winter, you probably could. And you'd probably be reasonably okay, especially as far as supercars go. So much grip. And even though it doesn't feel as wild and unhinged as the GTR, it gives you the confidence that cannot be matched by too many cars on the road. The tunnel. At any second, I know exactly what this car is doing. I know exactly what's going on with the wheels. I know exactly what's going on with the chassis. I know exactly what's going on with the rear wheels. I know exactly what is happening, and it gives me the confidence to keep pushing and knowing that it will handle it. Now, a couple of things that could upset the car in a tight turn would be obviously on a morning like this, if the road is cold, that could definitely do it. Any wet could probably upset it as well. And obviously that's where the driving skill comes in, and that's where the human factor comes in as well. But all things considered, what the machine is doing is the amount of calculations it's doing at any given time, and the insanely smart quattro system that is sending the power to power to the front and rear constantly at different rates depending on what's happening to the car. It's giving you the confidence to do it all, basically. And the machine is doing an amazing job at preventing you from dying, basically. And right here with me I have the mystery owner of this car. Hello, sir.
Hello. How are you?
Here's the hand, and that's all you kind of see of this man. Thank you again. Thank you so much for coming out. I know it's been a while in the making, and I really appreciate you coming out here on a Sunday morning. I do not wake up for a lot of things this early. So thank you so much.
For driving this car, you would. I think anyone would.
Of course, definitely. Why the R8 out of all, because the market is so saturated right now? Why the R8 out of all the options right now?
It was very comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you sit in it, being close to 6 feet tall.
Right.
You're comfortable for getting in, and while you're in the seat, it's got room. Whereas I got into the Huracan, and I felt a little more confined. I got into the McLaren, I felt a little more confined. They are more cockpit-based race cars, per se. This is your race car, but it's your everyday race car. Mm-hmm. So you can daily it, as you said earlier.
I wonder what really the difference is as far as the interior for the Huracan and why it feels tighter. Do you think it was maybe the center console, or the
a bit of both. The center console is a little wider. There were a lot of things I liked with this specific. Like when I sat in it,
right?
Like I knew
it just clicked.
And I had the option to buy a Huracan, and it was just I leaned a lot more towards this because I felt it was understated, roomy, comfortable for me. And that was more important. Like I took it to New York City last year. What an amazing time. It was absolutely fantastic because, I thought, you have this car and you're going to go on a long drive and you're going to come out and your back's hurting and you're like, oh my God, how many more days or hours of this do I have?
Yes, that happened to me in my Miata. It was so uncomfortable after 400 kilometers.
Yeah, so I went to New York City and back 3 days, 3 nights, 4 days, I guess. And I gotta say, I came back and I'm like, that was amazing. Not once did I dread having to get in the car. I was comfortable. So on times that you hit the twisty roads, you adjust the seat. Yeah. You become upright. Yeah. You enjoy it. And then you hit an open road like you're on now, typical highway. You lounge back, so to speak, and just
one hand on the steering wheel and just kind of just.
And you still have that option. You still are able to do it. So I got out of the car and I not once was like, oh, my back or my. Which was amazing.
Funny thing that happened to me in the GTR too. You spend 45 minutes to up to an hour in that car, and I get out sore. Yeah. It beats you up, unfortunately. It beats you up.
And it's a completely different ride, right? But I looked at I think it was a GTS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the AMG.
Well, I think those are more comfortable, right?
It was.
Not
I
so
just
much.
didn't like. So this, you sit in the middle of the car, like it's.
Yeah. The engine's right
weight,
behind you.
Yeah, the weight balance is there.
Yeah.
It's a different feel. Whereas you sat in that and you had like all this engine in front of you.
Half the car in front of you, basically.
Yeah, more like 3/4.
Yeah, and the funny thing is you're literally sitting at the rear wheel.
Yes.
Like your butt is probably a foot away from the rear wheel.
And some people like that. It just was. It didn't do it for me.
It's an atmosphere, you know. It's its own type of.
Yeah, I love this mid balance, mid engine feel.
Yeah.
The balance is there.
Of course.
And I had a Nissan GTR before this, and that was just raw power.
So you already had the front engine, all-wheel drive type situation.
Yes.
So you wanted to experience something a little, like a step above that, a little more refined, right? Something that's a little more sophisticated than that.
Correct. Something that I could enjoy, just me.
Yeah. Exactly. And that makes sense. I think at the price point too. I believe GTS and the R8, especially on the used market, you know, maybe a couple, 2 to 3 years old, I think they are very much comparable. The GTR is definitely comparable with the R8.
Yes.
And I think at that point, the choice is either between a mid-engine supercar or a very good, you know, front-engine sports car. Although that, I would argue that is still mid-engine in a way, because the engine is actually way behind the front wheels, so it's and there's so much space between the engine and the front of the car, which is fascinating. Like I'm not even joking. I want to say a solid meter, at least 3 feet between the engine and the front of the car. Well, just 3 feet of just nothing. Well, okay, not nothing. I'm sure there's something underneath there, but it's just a plastic cover. But the engine actually starts like right here. So, and it's kind of way beyond the front wheels, so it's kind of a front mid-engine car in a way. So instead of the engine being right behind you, it's right in front of you.
Great.
Yeah. But it's that's kind of begs the question as well, right? Like, what would you rather have for the money? A mid-engine supercar, or front mid-engine?
Yeah, it depends. It's truly about the individual. How do you? And everyone wants a car for different reasons.
Definitely.
Some people want it for the looks, the attention. Some truly enjoy the drive of the car, the handling. So it depends on how you want to drive the car. What do you want to get out of it?
Definitely. And in this particular situation, I think this spec, what this car is right now, the one that I'm in, is very much about the drive and not much about attracting other people's attention. Like, this car is truly for the driver rather than for other people. Whereas I find that if you buy a car that is, you know, very flashy, attracts a lot of attention, you partially buy it for other people in a way. Obviously for yourself, and if you prefer that kind of attention. And I won't lie, I do like that kind of attention. That's, you know, it's definitely up my alley. But I feel like at some point, if I owned any of these cars, I would probably get sick of the attention. And I would want to just be a normal person without having to worry about how many people I attract, or who's staring, or who is, you know, trying to take a picture and then crashes into me on the highway, which apparently is a real concern with
happens all
supercars.
the time.
I know, it's absolutely horrifying. Oh, tunnel. Favorite part. And that was exhausting the comfort mode. Beautiful, beautiful. So you don't even have to switch on the dynamic to truly hear the engine. It's still there, and the note is still there. It's just that when you're not on the gas, it just kind of disappears. It just becomes a nice little hum. If you were to get something else instead of this car, what would you? I probably asked you that question before, but I feel like the answer is always changing, and that's the same for a lot of people.
It's still going to be an Evo.
Really? Or an Evo?
That's the only upgrade I could personally see from this. Because I still want it
all-wheel drive.
I still want all-wheel drive. The Evo has an all-wheel drive, has also four-wheel steering. So
yes. This one doesn't?
No.
No, okay, so the Evo.
So that would be a great addition for me.
Right, yeah. Is there anything in this car that you're missing? Anything you would add?
Front lift.
Okay, makes sense.
That's the only thing that
That's the big one.
the Lamborghini Huracan has over this.
Have you ever had issues with not having it?
Nope. None, but if you can lift it up, then just
peace of mind.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because then
I have looked into it.
Would you add ventilated seats?
No.
No.
Car does what I've always been comfortable in it. I have not, like, even the climate control in this car has been amazing.
Right.
Like, I find you set the temperature and you're not constantly moving it around.
Right. You're not changing it at all times.
Yeah, my old dailies, I found that, I set it at 1 and then I'm like, oh God, it's too hot.
Too hot, yeah.
Then I'm turning it down and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's too cold. Then I'm turning it back up. So on a drive, I've played with it so many times. Rolled down the window, rolled up the window.
Yeah.
Tried
I actually do it so many times. Now that you pointed it out, I've never thought about it that way, but I do it all the time. My window is always up and down, just to kind of regulate the temperature.
Yeah. But then I got in this, and I set the temp, and I'm not adjusting a thing. And I'm like, and that sort of blew my mind. That made me happy with the car, and I've not been dissatisfied yet.
It's been a while too, right?
2 years.
Wow.
So I got the 2-year itch.
I know. Is that when it usually comes around? For me, it's like 6 months, unfortunately.
Yeah, 2-year itch, and then see what happens. But again, I've decided I'm keeping this. I'm talking with a company out of California about doing a tune on it. So it should add about 68 wheel horsepower.
Right, because obviously this is not enough.
Yeah.
Of course.
So
Right, yeah.
why not?
I guess that's usually the question why these things are done.
Yeah.
That's usually the question.
So do it and get a whole new experience and a whole new set of joy.
Right.
Rather than,
changing it up completely. Yeah.
Spend another $100 and something thousand additional to this.
Yeah.
To be able to get, and it's going to cost more, $200,000.
Right. Right. And I think that's also why a lot of people do just modify their cars. Is they're just buying it and. Yeah, because there's I guess a couple schools of thoughts as well, right? Like you can buy something that's...
Yeah, so I could spend, 10 grand, modify this, and be really happy.
Spend 100 grand more and...
And it depends on what you're looking for.
Exactly,
Right, so I'll get a little more burbles, I'll get a little more power, torque, delivery, so it'll still churn your stomach and still be the fun car that it is.
Right,
without,
for a lot less money.
Correct.
Of course. And that's true. And at this level, the dollar per horsepower and dollar per like a unit of excitement is so much more. Like you for example, if you tune an M4 for 10 grand, the difference would be a lot more tremendous than tuning a Lambo for 10 grand. Right?
Correct.
So it's also that, like, to actually be able to just spending 10 grand on it and getting 60 more horsepower is actually incredible. I did not expect I didn't think you could do that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of horsepower for...
It's going to be a little too much horsepower.
Even for any car, really. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you for this amazing opportunity, and thank you for waking up this early on a Sunday morning to let me drive it. And I hope you were not disappointed.
I'll send you the bill.
Oh, okay. Okay. So for me to pay that off, please like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one, guys.